Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
We begin tonight with loved ones disturbed by the loss of an uncle to gun violence and what they say is also the loss of a cousin who is now in jail.
This after San Antonio police say that man shot and killed his own father. The night team's Daphne Gray spoke with the victim's relative, who says guns are never the answer.
Awakened by heavy police presence next door here in the 300 block of Lyric Avenue, Cynthia Leos had no idea her relatives would be the center of a shooting investigation. This happening Thursday around 9 o'clock.
I was just nervous. I was just shocked. I didn't know what to do. I was just shocked.
San Antonio police say it all started when this man, 42-year-old Jason Anthony Haran, called 911 saying his father, 63-year-old Anthony Haran, had committed suicide. However, Jason later admitted it was he who pulled the trigger. Leo says she's beyond disappointed her cousin could ever do such a thing.
I'm just upset with him. I'm real upset. I just can't believe he did that. You know? He didn't have to kill his dad like that.
She says earlier that Thursday, she spoke with her uncle who said he and his son had been arguing. She believes that's what led to the shooting, which took the life of a man she says was not only a great uncle, but a good neighbor.
That we used to laugh together and stuff like that. We went to the stores together, and he would help me take care of my grandma at the time.
Jason, now in the Bexar County Jail facing a murder charge. His bond was set at $250,000.
Guns need to stay away. It's making people crazy. Yeah. Look what happened. This violence needs to stop. It needs to stop. After all this, and there was another shooting somewhere else, it needs to stop.
Daphne Gray, KSAT 12 News.
New on the Night Beat. All right, imagine you're stuck in your apartment, unable to leave because a swarm of bees is near your door. Well, that's exactly what happened to some people at a West Side apartment complex today. Fire crews on scene tell us maintenance workers at the complex off Culebra Road found a massive beehive in the wall right above an apartment doorway this afternoon. Once disturbed, the bees began stinging residents, leading to the workers to call the fire department. Once on scene, firefighters say they had to actually remove part of the wall to get access to the hive. They then sprayed what can be described as a soapy substance on the hive to prevent further stinging. Unfortunately, that spray did kill the bees. No one was seriously injured.
Our look at today's top stories begins with an update to one of yesterday's big stories. Police today saying the suspect who shot at a woman outside of an abortion clinic had been hiding inside her trunk before that shooting. It happened around 8:30 yesterday morning outside Alamo Women's Reproductive Services on the Northwest Side. Authorities tell us the suspect, believed to be someone that victim knew, was in her trunk when she arrived there. When she parked, the man got out firing multiple shots in her direction but missed. A bystander who was with a group of protesters near the clinic saw what was happening and used his handgun to fire at the man, chasing him off. As of tonight, he still has not been found, and it's unclear whether he was hit by the gunfire. It is also important to note the clinic was not the target of the shooting, and police are investigating this as a case of domestic violence.
Happening overnight, 2 people hit by vehicles in separate incidents. The first one fatal. Police say a man died by being hit by a vehicle while trying to cross Loop 1604 on the north side. This happened near Blanco Road. Police say the man walked into the path of a truck and was pronounced dead at the scene. We're told alcohol was not a factor in the crash and the driver of the truck will not be charged.
Meanwhile, a man is in critical condition after police say he was hit by a vehicle his girlfriend was allegedly driving over on the south side. This happened just before 2 a.m. on South Presses Street. The couple reportedly got into a fight at a bar and the man decided to leave, walking down the street. Police say the girlfriend and some friends then got into her vehicle to look for him. And at some point, another woman in the car allegedly grabbed the steering wheel. The vehicle spun, hitting the man before crashing into a guardrail. He was taken to the hospital. Police took the driver into custody and charged her with intoxication assault.
Turning to coronavirus, the CDC is defending its latest guidelines, which say vaccinated Americans do not need masks in most settings. Dr. Anthony Fauci is hoping this will motivate those who do not already have a vaccine. Here's ABC's Andrew Dimbert with the details.
The country's top health officials are defending the CDC's latest guidance, saying those who are vaccinated can go maskless in most settings.
If you're unvaccinated, we are saying wear a mask, continue to distance if you're unvaccinated, and practice all of those mitigation strategies.
More than 200 million Americans are not yet fully vaccinated. Dr. Anthony Fauci telling CBS he hopes these new guidelines provide an incentive.
If in fact this serves as an incentive for people to get vaccinated, all the better. I hope it does, actually.
There is some concern about enforcing the rules.
Yes, there's an honor system aspect to it, and maybe not every single person is comfortable with that. The gray area being, of course, that children under 12 cannot be vaccinated yet.
At least 9 states banning so-called vaccine passports. But Oregon may soon require businesses to verify a customer's vaccination status before allowing them to go maskless. Current recommendations from the CDC say schools should keep mask and social distancing policies in place for this school year, but new guidance for the fall is expected soon. More than 3 million 12 to 18-year-olds have already received at least one shot. Teen ambassadors in Philadelphia working to get the message out.
I think that us teenagers could reach other teenagers because we're more closer to them.
Meanwhile, the CDC stressing the breakthrough infections in 9 vaccinated members of the New York Yankees staff, with only 1 reporting mild symptoms, is evidence that vaccines do protect against serious illness. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
And a quick reminder, here in San Antonio, the city is taking steps to comply with the latest CDC guidelines on wearing masks. Starting tomorrow, city facilities will no longer be conducting temperature checks. Masks and social distancing will also be optional for those who are fully vaccinated. For those who are not, signs will be posted on buildings reminding people masks are still required. However, it's unclear right now just how that will be enforced.
And on the vaccine front, children ages 12 to 15 have new opportunities to be vaccinated this week locally. The Alamo Dome drive-through clinic will be open and is accepting teens from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. No appointment is needed there. Wonderland of America's Vaccine Center is open from 8 a.m. to 7:45 p.m. You can make an appointment or walk in there. UT Health San Antonio and Baptist Medical Center vaccine clinics also open for those age groups. However, you will need an appointment. We have a link to set one up on our website. At all locations, parent or guardians must be present for the child to get the vaccine.
As Memorial Day approaches, many organizations are taking the time to thank veterans for their service, especially since they didn't get a chance to do that last year due to COVID-19. With organizations like Dream Flight back up and running this year, veterans are able to relive their glory days. The Night Team's Jonathan Cotto spoke with Veterans United representatives who say the demand is high to take to the skies.
This aircraft is a fully restored Boeing Stearman biplane, a trainer used by 90% of U.S. pilots during World War II before heading into battle. After taking a pause during the COVID-19 pandemic, and with the help of the Veterans United Foundation, a group dedicated to honoring our country's veterans, is back on its feet and is using these planes to give vets a flight down memory lane.
Dream Flight is an organization that tries to say thank you back to our veterans and give them the flight of their dreams. Give them that last flight for World War II veterans.
Navy veteran Aaliyah Schuler says the experience has made a lasting impact on World War II veterans who have taken the flight.
They went out and fought for their country. You know, the honor and privilege of coming back. And a lot of them didn't make it. And that's the hard part, you know what I mean? And it's one where so many things that we have as a country today are due to those who've given it all. And that's them.
Together, Veterans United and Dream Flights have successfully completed flights for about 1,000 veterans from across the country, 17 of them located in Texas, and 3 of those heroes from San Antonio.
If we can do one thing for them and say thank you, that's just one little thing, and they love it. They eat it up, and it's just going for a flight. And it's just this one little thing of going back up and feeling that freedom, and you should see the smiles.
Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Veterans interested in taking part in the Dream Flight experience can call Veterans United for more information. Their number on your screen right now, 210-447-9460.
You know, it ended up being a really beautiful day outside after some morning storms. We had afternoon sunshine, and a look there at live cam downtown, you can see that the clouds are back. And those clouds are going to shape our morning tomorrow. Let's take a look at temperatures out there. It feels pretty great this evening. Temperatures are generally in the mid 70s, 75 degrees at the airport, 74 at JBSA Randolph, 72 at Bernie Stage Airfield. But look at this, additional rainfall potential of up to 5 inches of rain. Now that is through the next 7 days, and it's going to be a jam-packed forecast with the potential for severe weather as well as some flooding rains as well. So coming up in the forecast, I'll detail you when rain is most likely here in San Antonio. Courtney?
Thank you, Sarah. Well, Fiesta 2021 kicks off in a little more than a month, believe it or not. And this week's episode of KSAT Explains is all about the why behind San Antonio's favorite Fiesta traditions. Myra Arthur gives us a preview.
It's a 130-year-old tradition that's as San Antonio as it gets. And prior to last year, Fiesta had only been canceled during World Wars I and II. That's why this moment in March of 2020 was such a shock to the city.
Concerns over the coronavirus also forcing the city to postpone Fiesta.
The mayor and the Fiesta Commission tell me that the top factor in their decision to postpone Fiesta is the public's health and safety.
Fiesta didn't happen in 2020, but to the delight and excitement of so many, it is happening in 2021. And while things won't look exactly the way they did the last Fiesta, a lot of the traditions that we look forward to year after year will be going strong. Because we have a Fiesta to look forward to this year, we're taking a look at why we celebrate this party with a purpose the way that we do, and learning about the stories behind the most popular Fiesta traditions.
Still ahead on the Nightbeat, 4 police officers in Alabama shot while executing a search warrant in the aftermath of a shooting which left 2 people dead. The events leading up to that shooting. Plus, the search for a missing tiger in the Houston area has ended with its capture. But as this case comes to a close, calls for tougher regulations on exotic pets are on the rise.
And the death toll amid fighting between Israel and Hamas on the Gaza Strip rises dramatically today following another round of airstrikes. This is President Biden tries to negotiate a ceasefire. The latest next on the Nightbeat.
Israeli airstrikes on Gaza City today flattened 3 buildings and killed at least 42 people, making it the deadliest single attack since heavy fighting broke out between Israel and the territory's militant Hamas rulers nearly a week ago.
The Gaza Health Ministry said 12 women and 8 children were among those killed, with another 50 people wounded in the attack, and says rescue efforts are still underway tonight.
ABC's Julia McFarlane has the latest.
Rescuers searched for survivors under the rubble after pre-dawn Israeli airstrikes targeted several houses on a main road in Gaza. A midnight barrage of Hamas rockets were met with a flurry of Israel's Iron Dome interceptors. The Israeli Defense Force has released video it says shows an airstrike on the home of Gaza's most senior Hamas leader, Yahya al-Sinwar, a source telling ABC News he was not at home at the time. Other Israeli strikes took out a series of tunnels and rocket launch sites the IDF says were used by Hamas. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defending Israel's actions on CBS's Face the Nation.
We're trying to degrade Hamas's terrorist abilities and to degrade their will to do this again. So it'll take some time. I hope it won't take long.
But many of those caught in the crossfire have been civilians. The Palestinian Health Ministry says 174 Palestinians have been killed since this latest conflict began, including 47 children and 29 women. Among them, Mohammed Hadidi's wife and 5 sons buried under this rubble. Later, Hadidi is led into a Gaza hospital where a tiny miracle awaited him. His 5-month-old son Omar survived. Israel also facing international condemnation after an airstrike brought down this building that housed multiple international media, including Al Jazeera and the Associated Press. In separate calls on Saturday, President Biden spoke with Netanyahu and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas about efforts to broker a ceasefire. Biden said he supports Israel's right to defend itself, but urged Netanyahu to protect civilians and journalists. Julia McFarlane, ABC News, London.
Back here at home, preparing for a very busy week.
Yes.
A wet week.
Busy and wet.
And it's not going to rain all the time for all 7 days, right? But we are going to have a chance for rain every day over the next 7 days. And a couple of days that we're really focusing on, just to give you a heads up, Tuesday and Wednesday are days that I would really be weather aware. You know, some folks got some good rain this morning, especially on the west side of town. We had some sunshine in the afternoon, but clouds are back. 81 was the high temperature today, so cooler than seasonably average. Look at the rainfall total for the day, only 0.07 of an inch of rain. But Tim and I were actually talking earlier, and Tim got almost an inch of rainfall from this morning's storms that moved through. And now here's a look at some of those areas that did get some good rain from the Leon Valley area all the way out to the west side, 151 and 1604. Those areas were a bullseye for about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall with this morning's storms, but a lot of people missed out completely on the rainfall today. But don't you worry, there's plenty of opportunity to see rain in the days ahead. It is humid out there, even though temperatures are pretty mild. You can feel the mugginess. Dew points are in the upper 60s. That's toward the top of the scale. Tomorrow, dew points will be in the 70s, so oppressively humid. And we're going to have a war of two air masses, all right? Dry air and humid air. Now, our best chance for rain in the next 7 days is going to be Tuesday and Wednesday, but there is a small chance to see some storms tomorrow, all because of this dry line. So let me take you through the FutureCast. This is a look at tomorrow morning. We will have some areas of morning drizzle tomorrow, patchy at most. And then into the lunch hour, skies will start to clear and we'll have a mostly sunny afternoon. At the same time, the Austin area, Fredericksburg could have a couple of storms around that time, right at around lunch. But rain chances in San Antonio during the day are only going to be 20% at best. And now our best chance for storms tomorrow is going to be in the evening hours when that dry line sets up a couple of thunderstorms right along the Sierra Madres. This is tomorrow, right at around the time of the 5 o'clock news. We'll be looking at these very carefully because they may have enough oomph to push east to San Antonio in the late evening and overnight hours. They may not. They may fizzle out completely, but it is a safe bet to say that areas like Del Rio, Eagle Pass, Brackettville should be on alert for severe weather tomorrow right at around the dinner hour. And then again, look at this. In the overnight hours, these are going to try to move east to San Antonio, and they may make it here, but we'll keep an eye on those. So this is a look at tomorrow's night's severe weather risk. The higher risk is well to the west, Del Rio, Brackettville, Eagle Pass, Rock Springs, and Lakey. But even here in San Antonio, if those storms can make their way to us in the overnight hours, they could be stronger. But I know I'm focusing here on tomorrow, but really Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be our best chance for widespread storms. Here's a look at the chances tomorrow. Again, not too great. A patchy drizzle in the morning, 70 degrees, 82 at noon, warm and muggy, 88 for the high temperature, so a warm day. And then again, that 20 to 30% chance in the evening hours. Southeast winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour. Here's the upper level weather pattern, and this is why we have a good chance for storms on Tuesday and Wednesday. This upper level weather pattern is going to push to the east, and it's going to be in a good spot for storms in San Antonio on Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, with those storms, we are going to have to watch out for the potential for severe weather as well as heavy rainfall. The ground is pretty saturated in spots, and 2-3 inches of rain will be entirely possible in spots from Tuesday through Wednesday. On top of that, we have more chances for rain as we round out the week with scattered showers and storms possible through the weekend. We've been saying this all of the last couple of days, but the KSAT Weather Authority app is going to be very handy as we continue to adjust the forecast, and we can go live on that app as well.
We've seen it done many times before. Thank you, Sarah.
Greg Simmons has a preview of Instant Replay right after this. All right, the Spurs fall in the last second in their final game of the regular season and now must win at least 2 games to make it to the playoffs. Let's find out what else is on tonight's Instant Replay with our Greg Simmons.
Yeah, so let's make that clear. The play-in tournament is not the playoffs. You're playing in to get into the playoffs. And all this coming after one of the most exciting and emotional weekends in Spurs history as Tim Duncan is inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
Oh, yeah, they tried it. The sell! And the Suns are a winner.
After losing back-to-back games at home to the Phoenix Suns, the Spurs finished with their second straight losing season after 22 straight winning records. But even though they finish in 10th, the Silver and Black still have a shot at making the playoffs. Who will they face in the play-in tournament? We will show you.
Welcoming Tim to the Hall of Fame is his teammate on 2 championship squads in San Antonio, the Admiral David Robinson. It's my pleasure to introduce Tim Duncan.
It was history in the making this weekend as Tim Duncan is inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame as part of the class of 2020. What he had to say with his induction speech, and a former Spurs head coach is now part of the class of 2021, announced today by the Hall of Fame.
For the Anthony Davis pick. And on the backdoor run, he too easy, Andre Drummond.
And who wins best in the West? The Phoenix Suns did their part to try and snag the top playoff position with a victory over the Spurs on the final day of the regular season. But remember, there's a play-in tournament left to play out tonight. We've got all the details. All that plus, it's game day for SAFC, and the Spurs must win 2 games in order to get to the 8th and final playoff spot. Do you believe that will happen? Tonight, you decide. Instant replay is live. And it's after the Nightbeat, so plenty to talk about tonight.
Yeah, a rough road for them to go.
It is tough, yeah.
But there's a road.
There's a road, yes.
Thank you, Greg.
Sure.
All right, another tiger seized in Texas, this one in Houston. You've heard about it. With sightings of exotic cats seemingly on the rise in urban areas, many now calling for more restrictions when it comes to obtaining one. More on this story when the Nightbeat continues. Taking a look at stories making headlines around America today, authorities say multiple Birmingham, Alabama police officers were injured in a shootout with a suspect following a double murder there this morning. That incident began around 6:30 this morning when officers responded to a call that 2 people had been shot at a park. They found the woman lying in the roadway suffering from a gunshot wound, as well as a male victim. Both died. The murder investigation led officers to a suspect's home where he immediately opened fire on officers as they arrived.
Upon making entry, they were immediately met by gunfire, in which we had 4 officers that was injured.
2 of those officers directly struck by gunfire, the other 2 grazed by bullets. The suspect who fired on those officers was shot and killed by police. The Alabama Bureau of Investigation now taking over that case.
To another shooting investigation, police in Bridgeport, Connecticut are investigating a double murder at an illegal nightclub early this morning. Police responded to a call for shots fired around 2 a.m., arriving on the scene to find 2 men shot. The first victim was a 40-year-old man from Stamford who was suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was transported to a hospital where he later died. Bridgeport police also found the body of a 38-year-old Bloomfield man in the basement.
And it's very unfortunate and very sad with this senseless gun violence, and I'm very sick and tired of it. Very sick and tired of it. And we need to find out who are those perpetrators and bring them to justice.
Investigators believe the illegal club was operating out of the basement of what used to be a downtown church. Authorities in Connecticut say the investigation is ongoing.
Tonight, roughly 1,000 people outside of Los Angeles have been forced to evacuate their homes due to a major wildfire that continues to grow out of control. The Palisades fire is burning about 20 miles west of downtown LA, and firefighters say tonight they suspect arson. That fire now spread across more than 1,300 acres and at last check was 0% contained. Both water-dropping helicopters and ground crews are fighting the blaze in steep and rugged terrain. More than 300 firefighters are now on that scene.
A frightening scene in Iowa today where a freight train hauling fertilizer and ammonium nitrate derailed and caught fire, sending plumes of smoke into the air and forcing the evacuation of parts of a small town nearby. Take a look at some of the videos posted to social media. A Union Pacific spokesperson says 47 rail cars came off the tracks during the derailment, which happened around 2 p.m. near Sibley, Iowa, northwest of Des Moines. There have been no reports of injuries to the train's crew or anyone nearby, but people living nearby were evacuated as crews scrambled to put out those massive flames. Investigators say it appears the train's fuel caught fire during the derailment. It's still unclear what caused it to happen.
And check this out. Arizona firefighters rescued nearly 24 people stuck on a roller coaster yesterday. They were on the Desert Storm ride at Castles and Coasters in Phoenix when the cars stalled about 20 feet up in the air. Firefighters used ladders and harnesses to get all 22 people down safely. No injuries were reported.
More signs of life beginning to return back to normal. New York subway system will resume normal pre-pandemic operations tomorrow. The announcement came from the Metropolitan Transit Authority today, which oversees public transit in New York City. Masks will still be required on mass transit, whether people have been vaccinated or not. Right now, the MTA points out mask compliance is 99%. Workers will disinfect subway cars overnight between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. to keep the system safe and running.
At this point last year, we were actively discouraging people from taking the subway. We were telling them to stay home. And now we're returning 24/7 subway service. We can loudly and proudly say, welcome back, New York.
The MTA also wants to add 600 to 800 additional police officers as ridership picks up again. It plans to add mental health resources to support the transit police as well.
Well, I hope you had a great day out there. Today was relatively quiet after morning storms, and we're going to soak up these quiet days because it is about to get pretty active around San Antonio. But today was a good one. We saw a high temperature of 81 degrees, low of 70, even a little bit of rain this morning at the airport, 7/100 of an inch of rain with more rain off to the west. Now, coming up in the forecast, we're really going to focus on, even though there's a 20% chance for storms tomorrow, there is the potential for some severe weather. As you can see, over the next 7 days, a good chance for rain every single day, but especially Tuesday and Wednesday. I'll show you the futurecast of what Tuesday and Wednesday will likely have in store in just a few minutes. Courtney.
Thank you, Sarah. Tigers once again making headlines in Texas after a missing tiger last seen in the Houston area has been found. The issue bringing in calls for stricter regulations when it comes to exotic pets. The latest after the break. Over to the Houston area now for the latest in the case of a once missing tiger spotted on Mother's Day and then not seen for nearly a week. The cat named India has since been found and is headed to its new home at a North Texas wildlife sanctuary. But the story is highlighting the problem of big cat ownership, something we've seen more of here in San Antonio this year. ABC's Zoreen Shah has more.
But we got him, and he's healthy.
This morning, after a week-long frantic search, police say India, the missing Houston tiger, is now safe in a Houston animal shelter. Police releasing this video of the caretaker's wife surrendering him. India was last seen roaming Houston streets 7 days ago with Victor Cuevas.
The tiger was passed around a little bit, but ultimately Gia knew where the tiger was at all times. If it wasn't with her, she knew where it was at.
Cuevas' lawyer speaking out overnight, advocating for stronger private ownership laws.
I think there's a lot of sense in regulating 600 pounds of raw muscle, even though they may be gentle and kind. If someone were, for example, to be mean to this animal, I mean, instincts are going to take over and it's going to defend itself.
Since 1990, the Humane Society of the U.S. saying there have been over 36 dangerous incidents involving tigers and 2 children dying in Texas alone.
But as you can see, the scars that come down to my elbow, and it has all the way around the scar. Strength is limited. My finger movement is limited.
Jayton Howell's arm was reattached after losing it to a tiger. He was 4 when he walked into his uncle's Houston backyard alone, sticking his hand in the tiger's cage.
He lashed onto my arm, bit down on the elbow, and just the force of him biting down and the sudden pull was my arm was severed at the elbow.
And just this year, the Humane Society of the U.S. moved Texas tigers Elsa and Loki into an animal sanctuary.
And so a number of states don't have any laws on it. And in Texas, there is not a statewide ban, so people can own them.
They say private ownership is a nationwide concern.
There are about 3,000 wild tigers in India, but in the U.S., it's estimated anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 captive tigers as pets and in other places. Most likely, those tigers are in Texas.
The Humane Society of the U.S. says they are trying to get the Big Cat Public Safety Act passed through Congress. They want to ban private ownership. They call it a public health issue and an inhumane issue for the tigers. Zoreen Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Things you never thought that were a problem are a problem. Have you ever seen a car melt just from sitting in the sun? Well, it can happen. Coming up, we'll explain how in the tough lesson one car owner recently learned. The mystery of the melting car. It sure sounds strange, and it looks strange as well. Part of a Toyota Prius actually became deformed, and All the driver says it did to make that happen was to park outdoors. 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz looks into how this phenomenon happened.
You wouldn't expect a new car to have a meltdown, but look, the plastic on this Prius is rippled and distorted.
We thought, that's crazy. Cars don't melt in the sunshine.
Melissa Little says her daughter had backed her car into a parking spot at her apartment complex last October. Days later,
it looks like she had a wet paint job and someone took 3 fingers and ran it completely diagonally.
So they contacted Toyota, only to be told it's not a malfunction, not covered by the warranty.
But I've gone through our warranty and I can't find anything that says don't park your vehicle in the sun. Toyota thinks that we should pay for it. They said that it's a phenomenon. Solar convergence.
Solar convergence turns out it's a rare but real thing and can happen when the sun, energy efficient windows, and a meltable surface are all at the right place at the right time.
Luckily, the odds aren't very high. Otherwise, we'd be hearing a lot more of this.
Dr. Jack Leifer teaches the concept in his engineering class. Energy-efficient windows, typically required by building codes, are designed to reflect the sun. But when the pressure outside double-paned windows changes,
that can cause the windows to curve. In other words, the sheet of glass will almost suck in. That is going to create a situation where light waves that are coming in bounce off and focus at a particular spot.
Focusing a heat beam, kind of like a magnifying glass.
It's very similar to a magnifying glass.
We contacted Toyota about the curious car damage. They declined to comment, but did contact Little, who says the car maker is denying her claim.
A repair. That's all we would like is a repair.
Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
Oh.
Are you taking notes there?
I am not excited for summer. Just, you know what? It makes me way happier about the week we're supposed to have coming up. Like the rain compared to the heat.
Cars melting in the sun this week.
Putting it in perspective, we will need all the rain that we are going to get. Now, it might be too much of a good thing at one time or another, but you know how hot it gets in these summer months and how much we wish for rain by about July, August, and September. Speaking of rain, we've seen more than 2.5 inches of rain this month so far. We're only halfway done with May. That is actually about 3,700ths greater than what we normally see by this time in May. So we're doing good in the rainfall department. In fact, since January 1st, we've seen more than 11.5 inches, which is almost an inch surplus of rainfall. By the end of the week, though, over the next 7 days, we could tack on another 3 to 5 inches of rain to this total here, especially Tuesday and Wednesday when we're expected to see more widespread showers and storms. Clouds are back. It's cloudy now at the airport, 75 degrees with southeast winds at 10 miles per hour. It's humid here in San Antonio. And tomorrow, we're only going to have a 20% chance for isolated storms. But in the evening hours, we're really going to have to watch this dry line because the mixture of dry and humid air, that's going to spark off a few thunderstorms out west that we'll have to watch carefully. So let me take you through the FUTURECAST tomorrow morning. Drizzle in the morning hours, patchy drizzle. So it could be damp in some spots for your morning commute. And then by about the lunch hour, that's when we'll see skies start to clear here in San Antonio. There will be a few storms up north toward Austin, Fredericksburg, and central Texas area. But 1 or 2 of those may move on down to the south, and that's why we're only including a 20% chance for storms during the day tomorrow. But it's really the evening hours that I'll be looking out west toward the Sierra Madres. That dry line is going to spark off a couple of storms, and some of these could have enough intensity and really affect our counties that live along the Rio Grande here. So Maverick, Kenny, Valverde County, those could be strong or severe with large hail being a risk. Then in the overnight hours, we're going to have to see if these can make their way to San Antonio. As they move east, they're probably going to fall apart quite a bit, but it's still a possibility tomorrow night through early Tuesday morning, as you can see there on the FUTURECAST. But for these counties in yellow here, there is that risk for severe weather tomorrow in the evening and into the overnight hours. Even in San Antonio, if 1 or 2 storms could pop up, we very well could see an isolated severe storm. But here's how your Monday is going to shake out. Patchy drizzle in the morning, 70 degrees, muggy staying warm throughout the day, clearing skies into the afternoon, only a 20% chance for an isolated storm, 88 for the high, and then slightly greater chances in the overnight hours. Southeast winds at 10 to 20. But tomorrow's rain chance is pretty slim compared to Tuesday and Wednesday. This upper level low is going to be moving closer to us. And here's what that's going to do. It's going to allow for bursts of energy to bring scattered showers and storms through. Tuesday, severe weather will be possible. Wednesday, severe weather will be possible, as well as heavy rains. Even the places that got a few storms this morning, like on the west side of San Antonio, saw an inch of rainfall. So heavy rains are going to be possible at times Tuesday and Wednesday. It's not going to rain all day on Tuesday and all day on Wednesday, but we're going to keep you updated. And then look at this. Through Friday, even more chances for rain even into the weekend as well. When all is said and done, by this time next weekend, we could see up to 5 inches of additional rainfall in spots, especially along and east of I-35. A busy forecast. We're going to be busy in the weather department, but that's why we're here, to keep you safe and informed. Chance for scattered showers and storms every day, especially Tuesday and Wednesday.
We'll take it while we can get it. Thank you, Sarah.
Angelina Jolie and Chris Rock are both back on the big screen, but which of their movie debuts came out on top? Your weekend box office report is next.
You and the dragon are coming with me.
My sword here says we're not.
Raya and the Last Dragon managed an 11th weekend in the top 5, earning $1.7 million. Demon Slayer the movie Mugen Train fell to 4th place, taking in $1.8 million. Angelina Jolie and Those Who Wish Me Dead debuted in 3rd place with $2.8 million.
You were in an accident. My son. He didn't make it.
After one weekend on top, Wrath of Man fell to 2nd place, stealing away with $3.7 million.
All available units, officer down.
Detective Banks en route.
Spiral easily debuted at number 1. The latest entry in the Saw franchise, starring Chris Rock, took the biggest slice of the weekend box office, $8.7 million. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We now know who the Spurs will face in round 1 of the play-in tournament after the regular season ended today.
And do the Lakers secure a playoff spot, or have King James and his teammates been relegated to the play-in tournament? With more on what's an instant replay, let's head to Greg Simmons.
Yeah, he hates the play-in tournament idea, so to be a part of it now, not good. And San Antonio FC on the pitch tonight against Rio Grande Valley FC. Coming up tonight on a brand new edition of Instant Replay.
All about being able to finish. We'll see if he's got a closing gear here into the paint for Valanciunas. A great dime for an easy slam.
Now that the regular season is over, the Spurs will face the Memphis Grizzlies in the first round of the play-in tournament this Wednesday. That's after they lost to the Golden State Warriors, who now take over the A seed in the Western Conference for now. The Spurs tip off their season with a victory over the Grizzlies, but lost the last 2 by double digits and the season series as well. We'll get you ready for the play-in showdown with our segment Know Your Foe, plus the complete play-in picture before the playoffs start.
They're going to go right after you. They're going to get quick goals.
Hussein with a shot and a save by Cardone, who came out off his line.
San Antonio FC in action tonight on the road at Rio Grande FC. Can they stay undefeated on the season so far? And our San Antonio Missions are preparing for their first home game since August of 2019. They're spending the last 2 weeks on the road to start their 2021 season. All that plus, what was your favorite Tim Duncan moment? The sports guys are here tonight to chime in. Instant Replay is live, and it is next. I have mine, but there are many.
I'd say all of it, all 12 minutes. Gold.
That too, plus all 19 seasons.
Well, that too, yeah. Thank you, Greg.
Saving a family of ducks from a busy road was all in a day's work for one police officer whose body camera captured his heroic actions. We're going to tell you something good next.
Finally tonight, something good.
A police officer in Baltimore was driving down a busy street earlier this month when he noticed traffic was at a standstill. The reason? A mama duck and her ducklings are trying to cross the 4-lane road. This is footage from the officer's body camera. As you can see, he quickly runs over to the family of ducks. The mama duck clears the curb, no problem. but it is too big for her babies to get over. So the officer scoops them up and safely places them on the grass. At one point, one of the baby ducks scurries in the opposite direction and hides under a car. Fortunately, all the ducklings were saved and returned to their mom. I love watching him run after her.
That officer had a tough time getting his ducks in a row.
Well done.
That is all of our time for tonight. No more dad jokes for all of us here at KSAT 12. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in tomorrow to Good Morning San Antonio starting at 6 a.m.
An all-new instant replay starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of Instant Replay. What an exciting and emotional weekend. As the greatest power forward to ever play the game, Tim Duncan was enshrined in the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, along with the late Kobe Bryant and Kevin Garnett as the class of 2020. For a young man who avoided the microphone most of his 19-year career in silver and black, Duncan certainly pulled off his Hall of Acceptance speech by praising former teammates and, most of all, his coach. In fact, the only coach he ever played for in the NBA, Greg Popovich. More on this historic moment in just a few minutes, but first, it's game day. Today's the last day of the regular season. The Spurs close out against the Phoenix Suns in the second game of back-to-backs, locked in at number 10 for the play-in tournament, but the Phoenix Suns still had something to play for. Beating the Spurs would give the Suns a chance for the best in the West, but it would also take a Utah loss tonight against Sacramento. The Suns must not be confident of the Kings' upset since they rested both Chris Paul and Devin Booker, and as a result, the Spurs would go up by 11 in the first. DeMar DeRozan went off at the end of the first, knocking down 3 straight baskets. He had 10 in the first. Phoenix led, though, 27-23. Second quarter, Spurs tied this one up. Check out Keldon Johnson with the amazing shot going down the middle. Then it's Rudy Gay on defense, getting the steal and finishing with a dunk. He had 12 off the bench. DeRozan had 17. And Spurs are up 61-52 at the half. Third quarter now. The Spurs starters stay in, but Phoenix begins to chip away at that lead. Javon Carter went off, making 4 of the Suns' 5 baskets after taking a 1-point lead. Then he delivers the alley-oop pass to Jalen Smith for the dunk. Suns are up 89-85 going into the fourth quarter. Empty out those benches with the Suns up by 8, but San Antonio responds, going on a 9-0 run, capped off by this layup with 1:18 left to play by Keita Bates-Diop, giving the Spurs a 1-point lead. 10 seconds left. Spurs now trying to tie it up, but Trey Jones misses his second free throw. Bates-Diop tips it in, giving the Spurs a 121-120 lead. Then the Suns do this. Etwan Moore nails a 3, leaving 2.2 on the clock. Last chance for the Spurs. Devin Vassell tries for the win, but he's blocked by Torrey Craig. Spurs win. Here is your final score. Suns win, I should say. Here's your final score, 123-121. San Antonio now finishes 33-39. After the game, Patty Mills explained that being the underdog is nothing new to the Spurs, especially their veterans.
We have been the underdog for a lot of many years. Even to the point of us winning it that year. But we've always flown under the radar.
Understanding that it's no my bads, no mistakes. You got to be anything close to perfect, be able to pull out a victory, because it's definitely going to be the definition of a dogfight.
I mean, it's just 2 games to get into the playoffs, so there's plenty of opportunities there. It's far from like an impossible task. It's going to be tough, no question, but we're definitely capable of doing it.
This is the game we were all waiting to see late this afternoon. Grizzlies and Warriors each having the same record, each won against each other this season. Winner gets the 8th spot in the play-in tournament. The loser gets 9th and faces the Spurs. Warriors up at halftime. Third quarter, Steph Curry rained down on Memphis, scoring 15 in the quarter. He finished with 46 points, wins the scoring title for the season, averaging 32 points per game. He also led the league with 337 three-pointers made. Warriors win 113-101, meaning the Grizzlies will face the Spurs in their first play-in tournament game on Wednesday. And here's a look at how that matches up for you. The Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies in Memphis Wednesday at 6:30. Now that we know who the Spurs will face in the play-in tournament, first let's take a closer look here at how the Spurs did against the Grizzlies this season. These two teams started the season back on December the 23rd, playing in Memphis, where the Spurs won 131-119. DeMar DeRozan led the way with 28 points. DeJounte Murray added 21. After that, the Spurs hosted the Grizzlies in back-to-back games a month later, and San Antonio lost by double digits in both of those games, including losing on February the 1st by 31 points, which is their second worst home loss this season. And the leading scorer for the Silver and Black is Keldon Johnson. In 3 games, he averaged 17.7 points per game. DeMar DeRozan was second, averaging 15.7 points per game. Rudy Gay averaging 11.3 points off the bench in the 3 games versus Memphis. But Who should you watch out for the Grizz? Well, let's take a look at their numbers and show you how it stacks up against overall in the season and against the Spurs. Ja Morant, 19.2 points per game, 7.4 assists. But look at that. Against the Spurs, all of a sudden it jumps up to 25 points a game and 9 assists per game. Kyle Anderson, the former Spur, 12.5 almost per game, almost 6 rebounds per game. But you look at it, increases as well against the Spurs, 13.3 and 7.7. The Grizzlies average 113 points per game, but against the Spurs, 127. Now, Memphis is 4th in the league for rebounds per game, assists, and bench points with almost 40, but the Grizzlies are also 1st in steals, fast break points, second chance points, and points in the paint. Incredible to think this is how they rank, yet finish 9th in the West for now. Jazz and Kings, if Utah lost, it would be tied with the Suns. Phoenix would end up the number 1 seed because they won the season series 3-0. This year, Wagner alum Jordan Clarkson led Utah and scored 33 off the bench. Jazz up by 15 at the break. They would lead by over 20 in the third. Jazz win 121-99, secure the number 1 seed in the West. Mavs and T-Wolves. If Dallas loses and Portland wins, Dallas would fall to the 8th spot in the West. Minnesota came out on a mission, outscored Dallas 38-22 in that first quarter. They would maintain that lead the rest of the way. T-Wolves made 17 three-pointers, shot 55% from the field. Minnesota was up by 16 at halftime, and they win at 136-121. The Lakers needed to win against the Pelicans. They needed Portland to lose so L.A. could make the 6th seed in the West and avoid a matchup with the Warriors. L.A. was only up by 4 at halftime. In the third, L.A. used their size to dunk on New Orleans. LeBron had 25. Anthony Davis added 14. Kyle Kuzma bounces this pass off the backboard and slaps it home. Lakers won at 110-98. But before we show you that, Clippers and Thunder, the Clippers needed Denver to lose so they could move up to the 3rd spot in the West. But OKC would outscore the Clippers by 7 in the 4th. They would end up with a game run here on a 9-2 run. Thunder get the upset win, 117-112. Finally, the Blazers and Nuggets here. The outcome of this one affects the final standings as well. If Portland wins, they avoid the play-in tournament, and they definitely came to play. Portland scored 43 in the first quarter, led by 17 at halftime. 7 players for Portland scored in double figures, including 4 starters. Portland wins this one, 132-116, secures the 6th playoff spot. Here are your final standings in the West. So the first 6 all guaranteed to be in the playoffs. That's the Jazz at number 1, followed by the Suns, the Nuggets at 3, Clippers at 4, Mavericks at 5, and the Trailblazers at 6. The play-in tournament stacks up this way. Remember, you got to play in to get in, so to speak. It'll be the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors, 7 versus 8 there. And then the Memphis Grizzlies, number 9 against number 10 San Antonio Spurs. In order for the Spurs to get to the playoffs, they have to win that game and another. Now, the winner of the Spurs versus Grizzlies will face the loser of the Warriors and Lakers game on Friday. Time now for tonight's instant replay poll question. The Spurs must win 2 games in order to get to the 8th and final playoff spot. Do you believe that will happen? Yes, they have gotten the rest they need. No, but they will win the first play-in game. No, they will lose the first play-in game. Vote now. We have the results at the end of the show tonight. It's a busy Sunday in sports world. Up next, number 21 enters the hall.
Been through finals, game 7s. This is officially the most nervous I've ever been in my life. Been pacing my room all day, so let's see what we get.
Last night, Tim Duncan entered the Hall of Fame just like the Admiral David Robinson, the Iceman George Gervin. Before him, we'll show you some of the more memorable moments. Plus, a former Spurs coach got the call to the Hall today as part of the class of 2021. It's game day for San Antonio FC as they play their first regular season game away from Toyota Field. In just 2 days, San Antonio Missions will play their first game at the Wolf Stadium in over 600 days. We'll let you know what fans can expect, and it's almost playoff time in the NBA. The sports guys break down the Spurs-Grizzlies matchup in the play-in tournament when Instant Replay continues live next.